Good afternoon. Welcome to the very first Mind, Body and Goals podcast. It's going to be completely off the ruck today. Just see how it goes and get comfortable with speaking online. And I thought, what better way of getting comfortable than bringing one of my best mates on, Greg Dunnings.
I'll do.
Please explain who you are, mate.
Yes, obviously, me and you've been friends for well over a decade now. But yeah, Greg Dunnings. I'm now 30, so I'm well over the hill. Firefighter from Preston. Now live up, obviously, near Lancaster way. And yeah, we'll get into the gist of it later on.
Yeah. Greg explained we've been friends for a hell of a long time. Greg, just go into your younger life, mate. Just go into young Greg.
Greg.
How your life was when you was younger.
Well, first off, young Greg was fat Greg. We loved the cake. I obviously grew up in Preston. Went to a couple of different primary schools. That was all sound. And then high school, I was a fat, friendly kid.
I think that's why we was drawn to each other. We was both
we're both the fat friendly, the big, tall, fat, friendly ones. And then, school was all right. I mean, looking back now, I had a very fixed mindset in the sense of I've done well in is it SATs in year 6?
Yeah, I think so. Do you have like 2 lots of SATs? Do you have
yeah.
I don't know.
Say again, bro.
Do you have a SATs in year 7 as well? Do you have like 2 lots of SATs?
I can't remember. It's 20 years ago now for me. But yeah, so I'd done well in year 6 in my exams, my end of school exams. So I got invited to, and this is proper cheesy, a gifted and talented summer school for the clever kids. And then that gave me a fixed mindset, because that told me you're intelligent, not well done for working hard or for studying hard. That just said you're intelligent. And I took that ethos and that mentality with me throughout high school. So I've always had the no bluff too tough attitude, but I used to, so coming into my year 11 exams, I didn't study for a single one of them. I just thought, natural talent will see me through, and natural talent didn't see me through. It turns out if you want to know something, you've got to.
I thought you was about to say that's instilled my mindset of if you work hard, it pays off, but completely the opposite.
No.
One smart motherfucker.
Yeah. No, well, that's what I thought, but that wasn't the case. And when I came out, I should have really got A's and B's, and I came out with C's and D's, a D in English. So not even a pass of what I normally get.
Back then, that is the end of the world, isn't it? When you get those horrible grades.
And then, didn't really realise it at the time, because I knew I wanted to join the army and stuff. But later on, obviously, when I come out and I wanted to go to uni, and you had to have a C or above to get on your degree. And then when I paid the price for that sort of fixed mindset, because then I was sat in a classroom with a bunch of 16-year-olds. At 24 years old, I sat in a classroom with a bunch of sweaty 16-year-olds that had failed the GCSEs for 10 weeks doing an English course to get it boosted up. So that was lesson learned in that. And after then it was right, reward the effort, and it's the effort that matters the most, not just natural talent. And obviously our other friend Rom is a prime example. He won't mind me saying, and I hope it doesn't sound too insulting, he's not a naturally gifted, he's not a natural born genius. But both are best to find someone who works harder and studies harder when he wants to learn something. And Ron massively out. I think Ron was in your top half sets. I was in the top sets, but I didn't do anything. And Ron worked his ass off, and then come exam time, and he's proved it with his masters and his career now. His hard work is what's surpassed me and surpassed a lot of other people. So it was lessons from him and other people that you realise it's the hard work that matters, not your natural talent. So it's that nurture over nature sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I don't think I don't think you'd like talk about that now. I don't think you'd actually change it, because I don't think if you would have breezed through life, would you have the mentality you had today?
Absolutely not. And sitting in that classroom, and I think it was Preston College for 10 weeks on a Thursday night, proper give me a kick up the arse, and just to say, like, no, you need to put the work in, and if you want something. And that helped me, because then when I did pass that course and I got onto my degree, I remember I'd be sitting in the library at UCLan, because I'd work all day, teaching in schools, and then I'd be in the library at night doing my assignments. And I just wanted to get the best possible grade I could get. And I remember overhearing two lads chat, and they were just like, "Oh, I passed that assignment. Oh, what'd you get? 41%." And anyone who's done a degree knows that 40% is the bare pass mark. But that's like a third class, like, poor standard, like. And they were proper chuffed, and I just thought, nah, like, that's a fixed mindset of I'm happy because I've got just enough. Whereas I'm competitive, and I wanted to get the best I could possibly get. And if it wasn't at first, not that I wasn't happy, but as long as I'd done the best I could do, I was happy with that.
Yeah,
instead of going half-arsed and getting half-arsed results.
And you had high expectations yourself just because of the work rate you put in, and there's fuck all wrong with that, mate. Yeah, so I think, like, I know pretty much everything you're going to say, because we've been friends for a shit long time. But I just want people to understand how much of an absolute machine you are, and how much of an inspiration you are. So, like I say, there's a lot of things that me and Greg have already talked about on here that you guys will not have heard, but just take it take it as it comes along, and you'll be pleasantly surprised and hopefully inspired. So you brushed up on that when you left school, you went straight into the army. Please go into your army career.
Well, the initial plan was to join the army when I was 16, straight out of school. And I think that probably didn't help with the attitude towards my studying, because I thought, fuck it, I want to join the army. And it wasn't a case of I don't need to study because I'm joining the army. It was because I wanted to do that job. Well, it turned out when I finished school, I went in and I was too big. My BMI. Now, I will say at this point, I'd found the gym and training when I was like 15 in like year 10, and then I really enjoyed it. So I lost all my weight in the last 2 years of school, and I was actually quite lean. Not like lean, I was just skinny when I left school. But my BMI, because obviously, like you, we were both 6'5" or something when we left school. So I was like, my BMI was well high as a junior, so I had to wait till I was 18 when I was an adult. So I just did loads of odd little jobs and this, that, and the other. And then when I got to 18, my BMI was still too high. So I had to, and I shit you not, right, I had to go for a specialist medical appointment to make sure. And I thought they were going to do a 7-fold body fat percentage test. Yeah. What they actually did was I went in and she said, all right, just take your top off for me, I'm assuming, for this test. And she went, yeah, you're not fat, you're good to go.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, like, with the general population, BMI is, for people who are just maybe basically sedentary people and average heights, average weights, it's kind of good for gauging where your health is. But people that are all high, and with, like, you said you were skinny, but you still had quite a good rig on you for an 18-year-old. It's so crap. And it's further from the truth.
Yeah, I literally, I did it the other day, just out of curiosity, and I'm like 31.5, and I'm like, I'm still in the obese category.
I think that's still morbidly obese, isn't it, 31? Or is that just...
No, I'm healthy. I'm just in the obese. I'm not morbidly. Yeah. But it said the bottom end of my healthy range, where they'd be cool with it, is 11.7.
It's crazy, mate. It is.
I'd be dead. My head weighs 7 by itself. But yeah, so like I say, I had that. Then I joined a regiment called the Coldstream Guards. So obviously infantry.
What was the number?
Say again?
What was the number?
3008. So yeah, so I joined that with sort of big aspirations, and again, that competitive mindset was there, where I wanted to be the best, and I managed to pass my training, and I got like best shot, because there was things I wanted to do whilst I was in the army. One of them was my sniper carder. My sniper course was one of the big ones I wanted to do, and I wanted to do what's called P Company, which is where you jump out of planes, because my brother was in the parachute regiment, so I didn't want to join the same regiment initially, because I'd always been Zach's brother at school because he's 2 years older, so I didn't want my career to be Zach's brother as well. So I wanted to sort of forge my own path in my own regiment, but then get to maybe come alongside later on once I'd created my own identity within the army. So yeah, passed out of training, went to London, did a bit of the ceremonial stuff outside Buckingham Palace in my tunic and bearskin. And then in October 2009, so I joined in January 2009, passed out of training in August 2009, and in October flew out to Afghanistan on Op Herrick 11. And then whilst I was there, I was only there about 6 or so weeks. 4 days after my 19th birthday, on the 30th of November, we went out on a patrol, and obviously I know you know the story inside out. You probably can tell it better now. So we were walking single file, and then a friend of mine in front of me, 4 blokes in front of me, stepped on an improvised explosive device, so an IED. And when that went off, he lost his right leg below the knee. So at that point, we go forward, we sort of patch him up, put him on a stretcher, and I picked up the rear left of the stretcher, and my platoon sergeants and my boss, John Namer, he picked up the rear right. And just as we picked him up, John looked at me and says, no, put him down, swap sides with me. And the only reason I could think is he's got his radio with his left hand so he can talk to the incoming medical team. And then as we picked him up and we did about 2 meters, John stepped on, obviously, the second IED. That unfortunately took John's life. And Ben, who was on the stretcher, he lost both his legs above the knee, and it sent me 20 foot up and 30 foot out. And obviously I'm no feather, plus I had all my kit. So landed, and we had 2 medics with us. So obviously they go to the 2 most severely injured. So it was self-help. I remember, like, obviously it was dust and everything everywhere. Someone had nicked my protective glasses like the night before, so I had to borrow my mates. And then I'm glad I did, because I had rocks and skin embedded in the glasses. So again, if I hadn't had them on, I'd have probably lost my eyesight. So fortunate for that. When the dust settled, I knew where the blast was. I remember turning my head when I heard it, and the pain that was coming from my lower left leg, I was 100% confident I'd lost my left leg. But when the dust settled and I saw my foot was still attached, I was just like, oh, fuck.
Things, mate.
I counted 1, 2, which is a pretty high number for me, but we're both still there. And I looked up, and Dean O'Dowd, one of our corporals at the time, he just shouted at me, just like, Greg, self-help. Like, no one can help you. You've got to fucking sort yourself out. So grabbed me pressure dressings, and then when I pressed on my leg to stop the bleeding, because it had ripped all my shin out down to the bone, I pressed the dressing on to stop the bleeding, and my hand just sunk in, and I touched my tib and fib. So yeah, whacked a few of them on, and then I had 3 rocks about the size of an iPhone embedded in my right leg, 2 in my calf and 1 in my hamstring. And the rule of thumb with them is you don't pull them out, because they could be, if you've severed an artery, it could be plugging that artery. You don't want to pull the plug on it, otherwise you'll bleed out. So I had to bandage around them. And then one of the lads shouted at me if I needed a stretcher, but having just been on a stretcher, and the rule of thumb sort of is where there's 1 IED, there's 2, where there's 2, there's 3. So I didn't want to risk other people. So I was just like, no. So one of the lads helped me up, and then I just had to hop sort of to the helicopter landing site where it was incoming. Obviously, at this point, we're still getting shot at this point. Yeah. And then, so helicopter came in, got me on that, flew us to Camp Bastion, and then that's where they give me the good stuff. They give me the good painkillers. And then they just all they did initially was just sort me out to stabilize my leg. So they took out the majority of the fragmentation and they bandaged me up. And then like the treatment from the point of injury, even till nowadays, has been second to none. And everyone should obviously say as it should be. But my God, the longer we were there, the better they got. And injuries that would have killed people 5 years ago were now like bog standard injuries to people. Yeah. You had a queue of the best surgeons in the world trying to get out there for experience. So you were properly in the best possible hands. So then I flew back to Birmingham, and there was every intention, because of how severely damaged my leg was, that they were going to amputate my leg. And because of how high up the damage came, and it shattered my knee, so my knee was all a mess, they were going to probably go above the knee, which in amputation terms is a lot more difficult further down the line than just strapping a new foot on and off you go. And I went into that surgery expecting to come out with one like minus a leg, and turns out my surgeon's a legend and woke up on the right side of bed because he just thought, I'm going to try something here. And he cut off half my right calf muscle, slapped it onto my left one, skin grafted, put some screws in my knee, and then, yeah.
That is absolutely insane, mate. That, just from the thoughts of a surgeon, absolutely insane. Still blows my mind.
Yeah, and it's obviously I'm just so grateful, and once I've obviously we'll get onto it in the future in a bit, but once we've done this run that we're doing, I want to write him a letter and just say, listen, like, these are all the things I've managed to do with my life because you chose the difficult option. Because it sounds almost weird. An amputation is quite a simple operation. They literally cut it off, seal it, stitch everything up, seal it up, and off you pop. It makes it harder to mend something.
And no disrespect to this, it's no skin off the surgeon's nose whether he chooses the easier or the harder, isn't it? Like, it's...
No, it'll have been in there longer trying to sort me out than it would have if he just went, chop it off.
Yeah. He had an external motivation to save your leg. And I mean, like, it doesn't take a genius to say, like, your life has been... You wouldn't have the life you had today if you hadn't lost your life.
No, not at all. And I firmly believe everything happens for a reason.
100%.
And I say, just where I am now and the things I've managed to do since, and like my job that I've got, the things we get to do together, and I'm just obviously extremely grateful. So I do mean to, I am going to write him a letter in the future and just let him know how thankful I am, and the long-term impacts of his choices on a daily and make. But yeah, like I say, I was in hospital for a month.
Just touching up there, mate, like, obviously, like, you are extremely grateful to this surgeon, but do you ever get take it for granted? Do you know, like, do you ever, because like with that, I know you're 15 years down the line now, but it's like, it'd be hard to always be grateful of that, wouldn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you?
Yeah. There's certainly times, because like my knees always hurt. Like, when they talk about your 1 to 10 pain scale, for me, getting blown up will have been like an 8 or a 9. But like my knees, they're always at like a 1 or a 2. Like, and I just say to people, like, I'm just aware they're there, and that sounds daft. Like, when you bend your elbow and there's no pain, you don't even think about your joint. Where when I'm walking or when I'm running or getting up off the sofa or anything, I'm aware my knees are there. Like, there's always a dull ache. But I just, when I get that and I'm thinking, fucking hell, my knees are hurting, then I just think, that's why my knees are hurting. I'm very fucking lucky that I have knees.
That's
and
a little reminder, isn't it? Like,
so, yeah. And so I'll take, if I got blown up and walked, and the worst thing I've come out with is achy knees, I think I've done pretty damn well. So yeah, it is easy to take it for granted, but then I think you just got to give yourself that little moment to just realise how lucky and grateful I should be for what happened.
Anything more to say on the army?
Yeah, I mean, so when obviously when I got injured, I was in. They told me, look, rugby at that time, Obviously, I got plans for a load of courses that I wanted to do. They told me none of that was going to happen. You'd never play rugby again. You'd never run again. You're not going to do this. You're never going to. The big one was they said you're never going to be a fully fit soldier again. Like that's you sort of done now. And obviously they're just playing it safe and cautious. But I was just a bit. I was just turned 19. I was pretty stubborn, so I was a bit like, yeah, cheers for that, mate. We'll see. Yeah. And out. But yeah, so then I went to Headley Court for 2 years, which was the Army Rehabilitation Centre, which was fucking graft. Like they just beast you. But they've got the best facilities. They've got the anti-gravity treadmills. They've got the underwater treadmills. You've got physiotherapy like all day. You have acupuncture. You have everything you need to get your body back to functioning. They have. And after 2 years, I actually managed to pass my fitness test again to get signed off as fully fit to go back to my regiment. And I mean, when I went back, it became very clear to me that I was only at like 95% of what I was. It was more of a point-proving exercise to get myself signed off. And I remember when I went back, because whilst I was getting better, I did recruiting. And my first night back, I got offered a sniper course the next day, which was one of my dreams that I wanted to do. Yeah. And I turned it down. And the reason being is on the first day, you go out and do an 8-miler march with weight on your back. And I just knew I wasn't physically capable or up to it. Like, I'm all for gritting your teeth and grizzing something out, but sometimes you just know if something's too much. Yeah. And I thought, I don't go on that and come off on the first day and look shit and come back. And I normally go for any opportunity because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But that's the one that I don't actually regret not taking. Yeah. I'm gutted I got to do that course and I never got to go down that path. But I actually don't regret not doing it because I think sometimes you've got to pick your battles a bit.
Even you thinking that now, is you made the right decision and you can rest easy on that thought, can't you? Like,
yeah, that's it. And we all have them decisions that we haven't taken that we've regretted. But for me, that was a negative one, but one that I'm glad that I feel like I made the right choice with it. And then, yeah, like I say, I stayed in for a bit, and it was clear that I wasn't like 100%. And my again, because my knees were bad, to get promoted, I'd done really well whilst I was on my recruiting. They were saying, right, recommended for promotion. But in the infantry, your promotion course is, I think it's 12 weeks in Brecon Beacons, just getting beasted up and down the hills of Wales for like 3 or 4 months. And again, my knees weren't up to it. I couldn't have done it physically. So it was a case of stay in the army as a guardsman at my bottom rank forever and not be able to progress in my career, or get out and see, right, what's out in the real world, so to speak. Yeah. So I left the army in 2014.
You was very reluctant to do that, I remember, weren't you? Like, because you almost wanted to go back into. I know you definitely wanted to go into the Coldstream Guards, and you wanted to go back to Afghan, didn't you?
Yeah. I'd said I wanted to go and go back out, and I did get again. I got the offer to go back out again. Now the only reason, if it was the same kinetic tour as the first one where we was doing a bit and seeing a bit, I'd have gone in a heartbeat. But they were just sort of going and doing sort of sentry duty stuff, and it was more of a glorified taxi drivers. Basically, they were taking VIPs from one place to another with an armed guard, so it wasn't anything too exciting. And it turned out I didn't miss much anyway. So, and again, I was reluctant because I had a master plan. I was going to do 12 years in the army, get out, and then join the fire service was my grand plan. And then obviously, like 11 months into that plan, things literally went boom, and then that plan went, cheers for that. Yeah. So I had no idea what I was going to do when I got out of the army because I didn't know what I could do, what I wanted to do, and so when I got out, I definitely struggled for the first few months. Because I'd gone from living in a block with like 300 blokes and there's always something going on, fighting in the corridors, like going out on the piss, FIFA, Call of Duty, something's happening. And then I'd come home to my apartment with Emma, my girlfriend at the time, and she'd be at work all day, and I didn't have to because I was still on full pay for a bit, and I'd just be sat there just like losing my mind. So it was actually training and stuff. Obviously, we were training every day, and the diet and stuff that kept me in a routine and kept me ticking over. So, but yeah, so again, it was I never got to excel in the army. I don't think I never got to show my full arsenal, so to speak, of what I can offer. But I certainly learned a lot, and the things I learned the most from was like the discipline, the integrity, the respect for, and the hard work. That was the big one. Like, you realize you have a taste of like what you can do. Like what you normally think is your 100%, you realize, is it fuck? Your 100. What you think your 100% is only fucking.
Absolutely.
So you've got so much more in the tank, and it ignited that spark in me where I was like, what can I do?
I think that kind of area of where the unknown, because I think a lot of people don't go to that place because it's unknown, and they actually think, well, I'm pushing myself, but until you actually reach those limits, you become so much more inspired to stay around them limits, don't you?
Yeah, and like you know it from like when we used to train at the first gym together, and obviously the owner was known just for his stupidly brutal leg sessions, and you were squatting like 320 for 6 reps at the time, and like legs bigger than my head, and that's saying something. But I remember we'd be on the leg press machine, and like you'd be absolutely fucked, and you'd be at point of failure, and then he'd shout at you 50 more reps, and it wasn't even a 5 more reps, it was in 50 reps. But you know what, we always found the 50 fucking reps in the tank.
Always.
You have to go to that, you've just got to go in the hurt locker, and you go into that dark place where you switch off, and afterwards, like, I think once you've had a taste of what you can do and realize, actually, my 100% isn't my 100%. Like I say, you want to know what is my 100%. And that's sort of what's motivated me, and I know you, to keep doing it. And
I think, as much as like this guy didn't really have a clue of training or training people, like I think what we've learned from that type of training, like you definitely take a lot more back, you take a lot away from it, because like you find out who you are as a human being, right? And when that transfers across, and like those principles, even though the training's changed or the lifestyle's changed, the principle has always stayed the same, and it's like give it 110%. And I think people naturally know, like, oh, it was a hard session, or oh, I give it everything. They naturally know in themselves, did they give it everything? No, probably not.
Yeah, and like you say, that's something that for both of us,
I'll always be grateful for it. Should I say? I'll always be grateful that I was exposed to that.
Yeah, I'm very grateful, and it's certainly, like I say, people go in and like they'll go, yeah, I've smashed that session, and then you can be in the gym looking at them thinking, I've watched you play on your phone for 20 minutes, like you haven't smashed that session at all. So yeah, I'm very grateful to be exposed to what we were, and the fact that it definitely helped us grow. And then I think that again was where one of our everlasting principles came from, of accountability, of you said it, so you're doing it. And that at the time, obviously you were doing bodybuilding and I was getting ready for strongman. And if we were doing, I don't know, dumbbell press or something, and we go, oh, do we do 60s or 65s? And well, you said the 65s now. So that was it. And we've kept that to the day. We would say, oh, all right, should we do that? Like, yeah, let's do it. And so, yeah, like I say, the methods might not have been the best, but the principles behind it is what's stuck. And I think I'm grateful for.
And I think like those principles, I don't think like you could expose those type of principles to anyone, but I think they only attach to certain individuals. And I think once they attach to those certain individuals, I think I say those kind of principles are with them for life, whether it be into the work life, training life, uh, parenting life. You always want to go to your best abilities. And I always like, and you'll do the same. I know we've had this talk before where you're always asking yourself the question, am I giving it 110%?
Yeah.
Only when I am I only ever satisfied. But just touching base on that, I know you was talking about your strongman. So going from not really knowing where you was coming out of the army, and I know for a fact you didn't have any cartilage in your knee. Like I say, you've had pins, needles in your knees. Strongman was never an option, really, was it? But you made it an option. Just talk us through that, bro.
Yeah, just obviously we were training in the gym together, and I just noticed that I was relatively strong in some areas, and then I'd always like grown up watching strongman on TV and sort of gone, fucking hell, like look at the size of them blokes. And then the competition came up in Chorley, so I just thought, you know what, fuck it, let's.
That was such a weird setup. What was it? What was even that place?
Oh, it was an old mill, wasn't it? And it was the longest, coldest day of my life inside that.
It had like it would be perfect for like, do you know, like a simulation of like a zombie apocalypse.
Oh,
it had a rundown bar, it had a car park, it had everything you name. What was that mill called? Do you remember?
Oh, I have no idea.
Anyway, sorry, carry on. That's me just fucking waffling.
But yeah, so like I said, trained for that first competition. Like I practiced all the events. I was pretty strong on most of them. And then there was sort of a little bit of hype going around of sort of, this lad Greg's doing it and he's probably going to win it and he's doing all right. And first few events I did quite well. And then it came to the Farmer's Walk, and anything moving I was always really good at. I don't think I ever got beat on yoke at all. I'm pretty proud of that.
When you was, it's like, so Greg won't explain this, but when he was competing against people, especially people who are experienced in this field, he would leave them for dust. Like it wouldn't be like, he would never just win it like by a fraction. It would always be a very massive margin. So hey, carry on.
That's only on the yoke though. On the deadlift.
Yeah, that's on the yoke. That's what. Yeah. Everything else.
Never. But yeah, so it came to the farmers, and obviously the farmers walk, for those don't know, it's 2 weights in your hands. You pick it up, run out. You had to go around the barrel and then come back.
Had you even like practiced half of these exercises?
I'd practiced 1 or 2 that we had equipment in the gym, but a lot of it again was no bluff too tough. Just sort of work it out on the day. And so as I've gone around the barrel with the farmers, the handles had started to turn in, and then as it turned in, it clipped my leg, and I basically just went arse over tit. And I just went sprawling in front of everyone. And obviously, fucked that event, came last in that event, and then therefore lost the competition. And obviously, I was devastated because I was like, and you spoke about it with T on your other podcast about I was probably more focused on after the competition than I was being present in the moment of the competition.
Yeah, enjoying the victory rather than enjoying the focusing on the event.
Yeah. I'd already won that competition, and I still use the mindset of I've already completed something, but now I try and make sure that I'm present whilst I'm doing it. So I'm not overlooking the process of doing it. I try and make sure that I'm focused now.
Yeah, 100%.
Again, I reflected on it. I look back and I'm proper grateful that I did that because I learned from it.
Yeah.
So then in the future, whenever I did a farmers, I'd go around the barrel, I'd pause for a split second, I'd knee the handle so it went parallel again, and then I could set off and go flying. So again, those mistakes that, and again, I won every farmers after that as well. So it was experience. You learn from your mistakes, don't you? But no, it was like I love strong. I enjoyed the strongman. It's good.
So how many comps did you do? How many comps did you do over like? Was it like a 3-year period?
Yeah, it was about 2.5 years, I think it was. First one was like end of 2014. 2015 and 16 were like my main competition years, and I did 1, I think, at the start of 2017. That was my last one.
That was at Bolton Arena, wasn't it?
Say again?
That was at Bolton Arena, was it?
No, the very last one was like Lytham's Strongest Man. It was, but I won Bolton's Strongest Man twice. And one of my highlights of there was one year Mark Felix was reffing it, and another year Eddie Hall was reffing it. Yeah. And Eddie at that point had got the deadlift world record, and I was going against my training partner at the time. I did my competition with Gaz. He was phenomenal at deadlifting. He just had sheer, just like brute strength in his back. Anyhow, I'd won every event. I won every event, and he was coming second in every event. And then the fourth event was like deadlift, and he knew he could out deadlift me by a country mile. And it was only like 260, 270 on the bar. And the guy had gone third or something.
270, only 260.
The guy had pulled like I think he'd pulled 9 reps, and that was the leading score. And Gaz went up, literally pulled 10 reps. Say again?
No, sorry, I thought you meant Gaz did.
So the lead at the time was 9. So Gaz knew that I wouldn't be able to get that. So he just went out for the win just to save his energy for the final event. So he went out, smashed out 10 reps in like 20 seconds. He had like a minute to do it, but he did it in like 20 seconds. Looked at Eddie and the ref and said, he's at 10. Yeah, sweet. Index there. So then I come out, start repping. I get to 6 and I am hanging out my ass. Like, I'm done. Tank's empty. And then I remember I had like 30 seconds left on the clock, and I look up and Eddie Hall's there screaming in my face. He was like, fucking pick up that bar. And then when the world record deadlift holder is staring you in the face saying you to stop being a pussy, like, you stop being a pussy. And I remember I grizzed out 4 reps. And that 10th rep I got with like 3 seconds left. 11th rep I beat him. And I beat him by 1 rep in the last few seconds. And that was one of my highlights, because he could have
want it though. It's like, how much do you want it? And then that just shows.
And again, after that, like, I just you go to the whistle and never leave anything out. Take it out of other people's hands, because Gaz had 12, 15 easily in him. But he left it to chance, and it just happened that on that day I managed to go deeper and find what I needed. But I won Bolton's twice, and then I won Preston's in 2015. That was my favourite day.
Did you organise that one, or was you organising the?
Yeah, it was a bit awkward, that one, because I organised a competition and then I kind of won it. I think I will say, by defence, all the best at the time open weight event.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like I can remember it. If people can imagine like Preston's flag market, the absolute ideal, especially on a nice day, the absolute ideal place to do truck pulling, fucking farms walks, log press, and it's crazy how you was allowed to do it there. And I know it was there the year before, but it was crazy how you was allowed to use that like area.
Yeah, there was a lot of planning went into it, and it certainly wasn't a solo effort. There was loads of people helped me out with like getting market
fans as well. So many fans.
And yeah, it was just like we had people lend us Mini Coopers for like this. So we had a car deadlift, we had a 21-ton lorry pull. There was all sorts of different events, and yeah, like I say, ended up winning it only by half a point. I think Joe Nicholson came second.
Yeah. But you smoked him on that York, so.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely the highlight of it. And then later on, the moment came for me when I started falling out with love was when people started taking it a bit too seriously for an amateur sport, and I started caring more about what other people were doing rather than what I was doing. So I said, they're pulling 350 on a deadlift. I should be pulling that, but I'm only pulling 300, or should be doing this. And I lost the love for it. And also, at that point, I was 26 stone as well. Like, I was fat. And I remember being sat on the sofa, and I was like heavy breathing, just sat down. And I just thought, this isn't right, this. I just decided to make a change at that point then, and so sort of knocked that on the head, and then started dieting down, and then I managed to lose 8 stone.
It was pretty quick as well, weren't it? How long did you like? It was only like a year, weren't it? Or
Yeah, about 10 months to a year.
yeah, I remember.
Down, and then
But you maintain that kind of weight, like you never, like especially with like you think like very fast weight loss,
yeah,
like over a 3 month period. If you like, you are not creating habits that you need to sustain that weight loss. So normally people go up like it's like yo-yo dieting, but for a 10 month weight loss, you have maintained like 5 to 10% between of where you are now, and I think that's incredible.
yeah. I mean, like, so it started from the strongman. I was 26 stone. I was like 165 kilos or something like that, and I knew I wanted to lose a little bit. So me and Jamie entered a powerlifting competition, and the weight category was under 140 kilos. So that was my goal. I had like, it was over Christmas period, and to be fair, I now always go on a diet before Christmas
Yeah.
because it keeps me rigid over that period, and then I enjoy Christmas Eve to Boxing Day, eat what I want, do what I want, and then I'm back on it, and it just gives me that structure.
Nice structure. It's like a nice bit. Like people say, "Oh, do you not think that's a bit obsessive?" Well, I could name of a few worse obsessions to have, but every credit, mate. That's brilliant.
And again, like you've been one of the main people that's taught me about sort of diet and nutrition and stuff, and I just sort of obviously learned that it's not a restrictive process. So I'm not on a diet. I have better eating habits.
Absolutely.
And a key one for me, and it doesn't work for everyone, but I track my food because obviously what can be tracked can be managed.
I think I think people who are definitely trying to like focus on weight loss, they're like one way or the other. It doesn't have to be one way. It doesn't have to be another way. You have to track food. Like
yeah.
It has to, especially if you're trying to lose weight or trying to gain weight. Food has to be tracked. You can't. I mean, it can happen, but you're not going to know the specifics to specifically lose weight or specifically gain weight. You need to know the specifics. So yeah, definitely, guys. If you're looking to lose weight, track that food. Kind of at the end of the days as well, like reflect on the food. Like so, for the first week, what I tell my clients is just track what's going in. I don't want you to change anything. I want you to track. Just see what's going in and then reflect on it on the next day and then send it me across and then send me your reflections. Because 9 times out of 10, Greg, we know this, people are not stupid. People know what needs to be done, and people could probably critique themselves of where they're going wrong in their lifestyle, but they just feel like they need to be told. Sorry, anyway, carry on.
No, you're right, and that is one of the biggest aspects is just tracking it. And I still do it now. I look back at the end of every day because I just use MyFitnessPal. It's just easy enough. Scan a barcode. It's simple, and you look back and you go, oh, I think when you start tracking, you realize how many calories are in things, and like the hidden calories. Like obviously, still do. I love my Monster energy drinks. I love my caffeine, and I used to always have the full fat sugar one. And then it was only realized
you would never kind of steer from that. Like you'd had a stint, wouldn't you, where you'd go for the sugar free. It was like, oh, nothing tastes as good as the full sugar one. And you was kind of on that path for a while, weren't you? Like
and then it was only when I realized, there's 250 calories in a can. Like, all right, I'm having 2 cans a day, so I'm having 500 calories of Monster.
Yeah.
So Jesus Christ, I'm having 3,500 calories a week in Monster. Now, if I change that to a sugar-free and I'm saving them 3,500 calories, well, that's a pound of fat.
Yeah.
Like, so, it was making them smart choices now. And when we go shopping, everything is the reduced sugar, reduced salt, and half of it tastes the same. You don't even notice the difference, and it just makes you more accountable, I think, as well as being a bit more sort of eyes open.
Yeah, I mean, like I speak to some of my clients with it, and just like tracking steps or being aware of what they're eating, and that just gives them the tool to just make the decision themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I think especially with tracking steps, it's kind of a hard habit to kick. Like I've got a few clients I've had 4 years ago that still track their steps because they say I feel I feel unfinished if I'm on 6,000 steps a day, or I feel like I need to do so. And it's such a good habit to have. Like I say, certain people might say, "Oh, do you not think that's a bit obsessive?" Well, it's a very good obsession to have, keeping fit.
I'm going to be obsessed with something. I'd rather it be getting my step counting
Rather than crap. Exactly, mate. Yeah. Right, mate. So we've gone from strongman, and that was, like I say, your strongman career kind of ended in 2017. Like you say, you kind of thought there was too much expectation on that. Take us to 2018 when you went to Canada.
Yeah. So
What took you there? What kind of gave you the inspiration to get there? Because I'm going to let you tell the story, because this is an inspirational one.
oh yeah. Quite free only. So like I say, I was obviously dieting down for this powerlifting competition, and then the Invictus Games had been on TV and had been about on 2016 in London, I think it was out. No, Florida, sorry, it was. And I'd seen it. And for those that don't know what Invictus is, it's basically like an Olympic style competition, but for injured soldiers. So you get 17 to 19 different nations around the world with enter teams, and it's just all adaptive sports. So there's swimming, rowing, athletics, shooting, archery, wheelchair tennis, wheelchair basketball, all sorts of sports. And it's all like the Paralympics. It's categorized. So your category ones are obviously like your triple amputees, your severely injured lads and lasses, and then I was obviously in like the lower end category, which is for guys with like sort of PTSD, or you've been injured, but like me, you're now better. So yeah, that came about, and then I went down to the training camps, and then we got given training programs, and it was amazing. It was like the closest I've ever been to being a professional athlete. So we had a proper Olympic Team GB rowing coaches that were giving us these training programs, and I was in the gym every morning at 5 o'clock doing like an hour, 2 hours on the rower, doing some absolutely horrific workouts. But when I went to the trials and I got to row in front of Prince Harry, which was pretty awesome, and again inspires you to do a PB.
Insane. What was that? What was that PB? Sorry, what was that PB?
It was 1,301 meters. So the events were, because it's adaptive, it's a 4-minute best effort. So you got to row as far as you can in 4 minutes. That's the endurance event. And then there's a 1-minute sprint. So row as far as you can in 1 minute. So
don't quite tell us what you got in the Invictus Games. Just tell us what you got in front of Prince Harry.
So in Prince Harry, I got 1,301 meters, which was an Invictus record at the time. And for anyone who's been on a rower, that meant I held a 1:31 split for 500 meters for 4 minutes.
What the hell, man! You probably told me this before, but I've only just got, like, I'd say in the last year, into my rowing kind of workouts. That is insane. Holding that 130 for the 500 meters for 1,300 meters. I said, this is raw kind of emotion. That is incredible.
Yeah, it certainly goes down as like the worst 4 minutes of my life.
Absolutely, but it's just how you maintain that over, like, because like, for definitely, like you say, for people who know exercise and workouts on the rower, to maintain a 130 split is cool for the first minute. is maintainable for the first minute, maybe 2 minutes. You're gassing by the 2 minutes, but to double that on 4 minutes, mate, fuck me, that is incredible.
It's just like I say, it was the combination of the hard work and so people have the different reasons for going into the game. Some people they want to be part of a team and the camaraderie again, and some people want to be part of a system again. For me, I'm obviously, I'm a very competitive person, so it was the competitive side of it that I wanted. I'd set my sights that I wanted to win 2 gold medals at the Invictus Games, and I'm a firm believer in, I think most successful people are internally motivated. But that being said, I know I've always had a thing for a bit of external motivation. I love myself something shiny. So, and I'm just a believer that if if I'm going to do something, I want to be the best that I can be at it.
Yeah.
Like I'm never going to be the best rower in the world. I'm never going to be the best sprint in the world. But whatever I'm going to do, I want to make sure that I'm the best that I can be at it, because I want to see how far I can go in that area. And so that's what my arse out of bed at 5.
Every sport you have done, you have gone with that ethos. I want to be the best I can be. And not even sport. It's just you in general. Like, you ain't there to make the numbers up. Sorry.
No. And that's it. I think, obviously, you say it a lot now, like, you've got to be your own first pick. And, like, I've learned over time, like...
It's easier said than done, though, to be fair. Like, I think that only resonates with people that understand what that means. And like I was saying on the podcast the other day, a lot of people, when they're kind of in that fat loss process, or they want to initiate a fat loss process, they don't believe in themselves one bit. They're going on a complete whim. Whereas you believe yourself that, well, you believed that you was going to go to the Invictus Games, let's say. You believed it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you knew. It wasn't that simple, but carry on.
Yeah, and you've got to have that belief. You can't think you're just there to make the numbers up. And like, it was that drive to be the best that I could be that obviously helped me perform well at the trials. So obviously I managed to, I won my event obviously at the trials in the 4 minute, and then again in the 1 minute. I can't remember what I got the trials in the 1 minute, but I know what I got at Invictus. But yeah, so I was very lucky I got onto the team. I made the team. And it was one of the best experiences of my life, because I've always loved sport. And I never got on a performance pathway, obviously, just because of how life went, and just I never went down them routes. But it was the closest I'll ever have to being a professional athlete, and it was amazing. Like, we got to go to a full team launch in London, and then when we flew out to Canada, we was obviously all in full kit, and got to take friends and family with us. And it was like, Toronto like made a massive fuss of the games. Like,
I think in general it got made a fuss of. This more specifically your year. I don't know if it's because we was more like us your friends, like me and Ron was more like focused on it that year, but like, you was on Good Morning Britain. Like, there's a lot more adverts about the Invictus Games. I think they put a lot more into the advertising than like the push for promoting it that year on 2000.
Yeah, I remember the Good Morning Britain one, actually, because it tickled me, because they asked me the night before would I do it, and I was just like, yeah. And I went on with a woman who was competing in different events, and they asked her like, oh, like, what you're hoping to get out of the games, and she went on this. She went on to talk about how she wanted to be part of the process, be part of the team, and obviously all the beneficial reasons for her. And then I think it was Ben Shepherd, and he asked me, and I just went, yeah, I want 2 gold medals. I was just like, that's what I'm going to Toronto for. I'm after 2 gold medals. And that was my sort of mentality with it. I was like, I ain't going to make friends. I'm going there to, I've got a job to do. I'm not winning that.
The byproduct of winning those is, like you say, the whole teammates, the camaraderie thing. But your specific thing was the winning. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's never been at all costs. I mean, I properly enjoyed it, and I've made some friends from other countries all over the world, like from Denmark, from Canada, all sorts of friends that I'm still in touch with now. But my mindset was, I've got a job to do here. Like, I've done, and I'd learned. So I was in part of the process. I'd envisioned myself stood on the podium and collecting my medals, but I hadn't already won them.
Yeah. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah, I was making sure that when I sat on that rower, I'd left nothing to chance. So night came for the rowing. Because it's in, there was a lot of rowers in my category, so they do it in groups. I was in the first group, alphabetical, because my surname. And then I won my group, but then it was the most painful 4 minutes of my life watching the next group go, trying to beat my time, because they've seen my time, they've seen my distance, they've seen my pace.
It's the worst time to go, in it. The first is the worst time to go, because you've got nothing to compare yourself to. Like,
no,
you think setting the gold standard when, like you say, you was going what you thought was 100%, but they'll probably have that external factor of like, I need to beat that time, that distance.
Yeah, if he's rowing 132, I need to row 131.
Yeah.
So I was like fortunate enough that no one could match it on the second one, so I got my gold medal in the 4 minute
Amazing.
endurance.
What did you get on game
And
day? What did you get on game?
there's that little. I think it was like 1312 or something, 1314. Again, it was around the 131, 132 split for 400, for 500 meters.
Insane.
But then that led us on to, I had about a 20-minute rest, and then it was onto the 1 minute. Now, my gripe here was that there was a lot of powerlifting athletes came across for the 1 minute event, because obviously it's sort of just a brute force, anaerobic, just.
Eddie Hall holds the world record for the ski erg 1 minute. So
Who thought?
Eddie Hall.
Eddie Hall, yeah, and Brian Shaw again holds a 100-meter world record shared, just because it's just brute strength. So these lads come across. So when I went first in my 1 minute, I had about 3 different coaches all stood over my shoulder watching what pace I rode, because they'd watch me just win quite comfortably and against everyone else. So the eyes were on me of what have I got, so what have they had to beat. So I think I did 404 meters or something in a minute.
404 meters in a minute.
I think it was like an average of a 117 split for a minute. So I used to be able to get it down to a 109 for about 20 seconds. But my lungs were on fire.
But you had the training for being the most efficient you could be on that rower. So
Yeah.
like people trying to if people listen to this, I don't know how many views we're going to have on this first one, mate. But if people listen to this and they try and maintain, like you say, a 109 split on a 500 meters, not having the training, they're going to gasp in 5 seconds. So it's like, so it's mixed with your hard work with your teachings or your trainings that you've been coached.
Yeah, we'd built up a massively high base threshold of fitness, and then we got into specifics, we got into technique, we drilled loads of times how to start off efficiently, how to be the most efficient rower. So nothing was left to chance. It wasn't this time it wasn't a no bluff too tough. This was, no, I've put the work in here. So when I did my 1 minute, I remember they had to put a load of 20 kilo weight plates on the front of the rower, because when I rode in my 4 minute event, when I was going balls out in the last minute, I kept lifting the rower off the floor. They put the plates down, and I rode, and I literally collapsed off the rower after I'd done my 1 minute. Like, I emptied my tank. There was nothing. I PB'd. There was nothing in the tank. Couldn't do any more. And then second heat went up, and it was a massive meathead Ukrainian that went on. And I think if I rode 404, he beat me by 3 meters. He got 407. And obviously I was gutted initially, because I wanted his 2 gold medals. It's 3 meters. Like, I was like, he's had the target. But then my mindset, I was just very much like, I collapsed off that rower. Yeah. I emptied my tank more than I ever have before.
Yeah.
And I've done that. He's had to do the same. And so I made sure that I was the first person that shook his hand when he got off that rower to say, well done. Like, fucking good effort.
Was the guy nice?
Yeah, he was bang on. He wasn't a dick at all or anything. He was a nice bloke who just obviously wanted to go out and compete.
That makes it easy, doesn't it?
And he got nice, yeah. So so I'm all about being the best I can be and competing, and I go out with a competitive mindset of I want to win. If I'm doing something, I want to win. But I'll always make sure that you lose way more than you ever win. So you've got to be a good loser, I think.
That is a big thing. Big thing.
It's all well and good being humble in victory and stuff, but if you're not humble in defeat, well, you've got to be the first person to shake someone's hand and say well done and appreciate what someone has put in.
I don't think, like you say, like hindsight's an amazing thing, but I don't think people realize how hard it is to He is nice, a nice loser.
No, it's hard. Like
Yeah.
I'd grafted my tits off, or like every morning for a year, done some disgusting workouts, and here I was getting beaten by a massive Ukrainian bloke who probably wouldn't pass a clean drugs test.
I knew something would come in then.
But hey, he still did what was necessary. So, and
And medals in the fucking Invictus Games, mate. Gold
yeah,
and silver.
I got to stand on that podium and get a gold medal put around my neck with the national anthem playing, with a flag on my shoulders. Like, by the proudest sporting achievement of my life.
That is absolutely crazy.
Big dog, I might have to just edit this out. I need to plug my phone into my car because my battery's dying.
Hey, I won't be able to edit that out, but it's fine. Just carry on.
I thought you'd be good. Sorry, bro.
Anyway, what else happened in 2018, which made it a great year?
Well, my first son was born. So, yeah, I became a daddy.
Daddy, mate. I remember. Absolutely amazing news finding that out.
Yeah, like, it's just, as anyone knows with kids, doesn't it? Obviously, and you're going to find out soon. It just turns your world upside down. But absolute best thing that's ever happened. It's hardest thing, but like the best thing. Obviously, got George. He's coming up to 3 next month. And then obviously we've just got a little girl, Emily, now. And that's us. We're good. We've got the older boy, little girl. But no, they're just awesome. And I just think, especially now George is 3, like, he's starting to look at his dad and his mum and see what we're doing. And you want to set that positive example, don't you?
Yeah. And like you were saying before, like, parenting gets good from 2.
Oh yeah. From like 0 to 2, they're just like they do now. They're boring, but like from 2 onwards, like the fun, the funny, like he's just awesome. He's just a little sponge, and I think it's our responsibility as parents to be that positive influence and make sure that
the best dad, hands down. I wish you were my dad.
So,
you're my best friend.
So had I not been married, I could have made another comment. But yeah, so like I said, obviously, at George in 2018, and then at the same time as that, I managed to get my dream job. So
what a year, mate.
Yes, that obviously got.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I managed to. At the time, so when I come out of the army, I was quite lost. I didn't know what to do. So I'd done a bit of instruction in the army, and I really enjoyed it. And when I'd done the recruiting, I was taking young people away, giving them like a look at life course and teaching them fieldcraft skills and stuff. And again, I sort of excelled at it. I sort of found a proper passion for instructing and teaching. So I came out and I was like, right, let's be a PE teacher. So that was obviously led me into doing my sports coaching degree. And again, I'm glad that I did that at 23 with the life experience and the attitude that I had, as opposed to being 18. Because at 18, you just want to go get pissed with your mates, don't you? And the work's the second thing. Yeah. And like them lads that I said in library getting 41%, they were dead happy with it, but in the future they won't be happy with it. Whereas because I'd
like when I was in lectures and stuff, like the 18-year-olds were the guys that were like, if for ever an instant that a lecturer would say, right, we're going to cut this lecture short, an hour, 45 minutes, whatever. These guys were thinking that they'd want, oh yeah, I can do this, can do that. I'm like, you pay £22 an hour to be in here, and you just short.
Yeah, and like I say, so it's that sort of attitude in it that you learn sort of with a bit of age and a bit of experience, that you're just like, no, this is important, and I need to treat it that it's important. And so I did that, and then I was I was all set. I'd been accepted in my PGCE, so my teacher training year at Edghill, and this is where I'm a firm believer in sort of everything happens for a reason, and sometimes some of my biggest failures have led me on to my greatest successes. So there was a scheme came up, teach first, start for something or other. Where basically, if your PGCE is unpaid, you do a year like teacher training, but it's unpaid. You just get your student loans, which is now. And I had a mortgage to pay. I obviously had bills to pay, a car to pay for, and life. So I had no idea how I was going to finance it. And this scheme, basically, if you get the spot, you get like an apprenticeship wage of like £17,500, which was enough to pay my mortgage, enough to do everything. Anyhow, if you do maths and English or history, there's like 30, 40 places in the Northwest available. Whereas if you did PE, there was one. So I remember when they told us about this scheme, there was hundreds of people in this lecture hall. I remember walking out, overhearing loads of people going, "Oh, well, there's only one, so what's the point even applying?" And again, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So I thought, you know what, fuck it. So I applied, found out I got through to the last 8, which was 4 lads, 4 women. We had to go and do a mini micro teach session to a group of students and then have an interview. And then a couple of days later, I got a phone call, all positive feedback. I'm thinking, I've got this. I've smashed this. And he says, unfortunately, you've just been beat by X lady who just happened to have more experience than I did. And again, I was gutted because obviously I was thinking, fuck, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to manage and survive this year? But again, gutted that I didn't get it. But time I'm thinking, well, if she's the right person for it and she's got more experience, she deserves it. It's hers. So there's, again, no hard feelings with the person that's achieved it. It's learning to be that good loser. It doesn't say things aren't shit. No one likes taking them knocks, but it's about being able to take it on the chin and walk away.
And
and
positives away from it.
Yeah. So literally only a couple of weeks later, I was literally just laid in bed one night, scrolling through Facebook as you do, and I saw an advert for Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service saying they were recruiting whole-time firefighters for the first time in like 9 years. And I'd never even, although it was my dream job, because my knees were knackered, I'd never even thought about it. But obviously since then, I'd lost a load of weight. I was feeling fit. I was healthy. And I thought, again, don't buy a ticket. You don't win the lottery. And I thought, right, I applied and like 2,000 people applied and they took on 42. And again, I managed to get through and I was one of the 42. And not getting that teaching apprenticeship was one of my biggest failures in not getting it because of how much it meant. But equally, it's the best thing that ever happened, because if I'd have got that, I'd have probably been too focused on my teaching that I wouldn't have even applied to be a firefighter. Now I've got...
You just scrolled past that ad on Facebook, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'd have disregarded it. I'd have gone, oh, my PGC starts in a month. Yeah. So I've got that. And then now I'm like, I absolutely love obviously, you know how much I love my job.
Please tell everyone about the was it recruit of the year or recruit of the...
the Golden Axe, Silver Axe, Golden Axe, classic 90s game. Retro. Plays a little dwarf. Yeah, Silver Axe. And so on our recruits course, there's awards for different areas, and then there's the Silver Axe Award for the overall top recruit. And again, it just comes down to that sort of attitude of, like, I want to perform to my best ability, and I'm not here to take part. That's like Conor McGregor. I'm here to take over. No, yeah, like I want to perform my best, and I made sure that I helped the other lads on the course, making sure that we got through it as a team. But if there was an area where I could help her and knew a little bit more, then I could. But then I like David Goggins, and when I was reading his book, and he talks about something called taking souls, and a prime example for me was there's a day where you run around a ring road, a drill yard, carrying hose, and it's knackering, it's tiring, it's shit. And you go in a single file and you run around, and then you turn around and you run around again, and you just do that for hours on end. It's just a beast. And I learned very quickly that if I sprinted past everybody on the first length, I could jog the other 3 sides because I'd beaten everyone in the reds. Yeah. There were people there that were fitter than me, but because I'd sprinted past them, they'd gone, fucking hell, how's he doing that? I'm not even going to try and overtake him. And what they didn't know is I was hanging out my ass when I got around that corner and was easily overtakeable, but good word that. Good England. But again, you took your souls, you beat them, and it's like when you see 2 runners at the end of a marathon sprinting, it's the person that quits the first. It's not about who, they've both got the same in the tank, but the minute that one goes, watch how quickly they drop back, and then the other person goes, and it's that taking the souls, and it's about being competitive when you need to be competitive, and then, but yeah, so work really hard with that. Got the Silver Axe Award, and obviously now I'm based at Preston, and obviously absolutely love it.
And absolutely crushing it as well, mate. But I think every time we meet up and every time we talk, like every time we have a phone call, like you can just feel the passion through the phone or through your facial expressions with how much you love your job. And like you say, we've known from day one this is your dream job, and it's your like soul job, if you will. It's made for you, or you're made.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just it's just the variety. I'm not a desk person. That's never been me. I like the variety, and yeah, I get to play. I get to do some fun stuff. Yeah. Who else gets to cut up cars and go into burning buildings for a living? It's
exactly.
And rescue an occasional cat out of a tree. Cliche.
Have you actually done
that? I haven't. I've known a couple of lads actually have. I've saved a duck. Pigeons, swans, but not a cat yet. Oh, in fact, I've saved a cat, but not out of a tree. It was out of a house fire.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and the gratitude I got for that was it clawed my face and then ran back into the burning building. Horrible things, and then straight out the back window. Ungrateful fucker.
No, which way? So, I mean, so with all that being said, like this year and last year and the year before, we did some pretty epic shit, didn't we? Like we did some. How long have we been doing just testing ourselves?
2018 was like the first year where we did some big stuff. So we've always had, like you say, we've always had that you've said it, so you're doing it attitude, and we've both got that passion for. Obviously, you're like one of the best PTs in Preston. Like we got a passion for personal training. So I think probably more so after my injury, I've got my whole sort of attitude is sort of legacy. Like I just think I want to look back when I'm 60 and tell my grandkids, your granddad's done that, I've done this, I've done that. Like there's a quote from Socrates, like the Greek philosopher, and I'm probably going to butcher it, but it goes along the lines of it is a crime for a man to look back and not see the beauty and strength of which his body was capable. And I just think people don't realize what they can actually do. And I find, and I know you do as well, I want to know how far I can go. How much can I do, and what am I actually capable of in so many different areas. So say, done something in strongman, achieved there. I've done some rowing, done that. And then obviously we started it. We did National 3 Peaks, didn't we? Yeah. Smashed that. Then we did Ultra Warrior. So it was as many times around the Total Warrior Assault course as you can in 5 hours, which ended up being 23 odd miles.
Yeah, massive.
And then that sort of led me thinking, well, if I've run 23 miles in 5 hours with obstacles, I've got a marathon in me here.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, you found out, didn't you, about your water sort of phobia?
Yeah.
Then, so that's when you've come up with some other sick ideas.
Yeah, that is going to be an epic one. If it happens, I hope it happens this year. But
so obviously, and again, because you've got the same mindset of if I'm
not struggle, or if I find something challenging, you want to overcome it and find it. And like I say, you had that with the water. So now we're looking at doing a 24-hour swim.
Yeah. He said it. He said it.
He said it. He said it. So it's happening.
It's happening. Yeah, it's happening.
And that was what it. But that mentality was what happened with our 24-hour event. Yeah. Obviously, I came to you and said, "Look, I'm going to do 2,000 meters on the hour."
I have to apologize, mate. I made you look like a little bitch. Like I said,
yeah, 250 meters.
I said 250. I just realized I said 250.
Yeah. He's going to do 250 meters every hour for 24 hours. Like what? So he's going to do a minute's work. Like
so he's going to do 2,500 meters over the 224 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Legend.
Sorry, T, if you're listening, it was 2,000 meters over the hour, which makes it a little bit more struggle. But yeah.
So I was gonna do 2,000 meters on the hour every hour, 24 hours. And obviously speaking to you about it, you was like, "Oh, I'll join you and I'll do the air assault bike, but I'm gonna stay on it." And I was like, "Well, that makes me look like a pussy." So I was like, "Well, if you're doing that, I'll sit on the rower." And then before we know it, we'd cracked out fucking 100,000 meters.
I was saying this to 390, but I was on a bike, but you were rowing 194,000 meters. Was it 194,000 or?
It was something around that, yeah. I worked out I'd done about fucking 19,000 bicep curls with a rower. That was why my arms ached the next day.
And I think you rode like 150 miles, hadn't you, or 100 and something miles, but yeah, I did 300 and I think it was 360 miles, and you did 194,000 meters or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we finished that, like I think the one thing I expected, like same again, like going back to, I was looking at, especially in the times hurting and like in the hurt locker, I was looking for that kind of relief and that like that raw emotion of finishing the 24 hours.
Yeah.
And for me, it just wasn't there. I think it's because I was just so emotionally fatigued, and like I realized about 2 days later that I'd completely drained my adrenal gland. Like it was completely fatigued, and I had no emotion for a week. But how did you feel?
I was the same. It was sort of just numb.
More like I just want
to. Yeah, I just wanted to go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
But no, it was just seeing what we could do, and obviously, like I say, we've done that, and then we've obviously now we've signed up to this ultra, and it's just I'm always want to see like how far we can go and how much have I got in the tank. So obviously we've signed up to this 50k ultra over Snowdon in April. Obviously, 2 different training methods. You're going with my age-old no bluff too tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, every credit to Greg. Greg hates running, but has kind of found a love for the pain, I suppose, or just
I enjoy the discomfort, but I fucking hate running.
Just actually being organised and actually being ready for a competition. Whereas I've always lived by, if I'm suffering once. Now, judging off how the ultra assault course went, like people don't know this, and I'll say this, I didn't give any attention into my nutrition, and I had to go and shit in a bush. You know you've got a brother when he's watching out for you, crouching down and sitting in a bush in case anyone else comes.
I was trying to pass your nettles, saying, "Yeah, wipe with that."
Yeah, if how I wipe my bum, like leave it up to your imagination.
Yeah, you only had one sock after that race, didn't you?
You only had one sock. Very hard sock. But yeah, going back to the challenges. Yeah, so I love the challenge, but because the challenges are so extreme. I mean, like say, if you were gonna like regiment a program, like we were saying last time, like I don't really like spending 20. I don't really like spending an hour on the bike, I ain't spending.
Yeah.
I'm only spending 24 hours on it because it's a challenge.
Yeah, I remember when I was chatting to the lads at work about my row, and they'd be like, "Oh, right, so what sort of training, what sort of hours and distances are you doing on the rower?" I said, "Oh, well, I've not sat on one in 2 years." And they were like, "What?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to do, I think I jumped on and I did a 10K.
Yeah.
And then they were just like, "Oh, so like, what are you doing next week?" I was like, "Oh, no. That was it. That's my training. Training complete."
Like, as much as we like laugh this off, like this works well, especially judging on the assault course thing, kind of works for me. I mean, like we nailed our nutrition and our sodium and potassium levels on that 24-hour event.
Yeah.
Absolutely nailed it, and that's all I was bothered about. The only thing that was going to give up on me was my head. Like I knew if my nutrition was
I thought you were
sorted,
going to say your bowels then. Again.
If nutrition was sorted, then my body would be sorted. The only thing that was going to give up was my head, and I knew it wasn't happening. And so
Yeah,
I knew I was going to get through it.
And that's it. That's the when we say about no bluff too tough, and it's that naivety, and obviously Ross says, as I say, don't he, like naive enough to start, stubborn enough to finish, and that
proper sticks with me.
That's it. Like there's loads of stuff that we want to do, and we've got plans and ideas that we've got no right to try it.
Yeah.
But and like you said with that row, the minute we said we were doing it, we'd already done it.
And that wasn't like, that's not being arrogant. That wasn't being arrogant. That wasn't being like just overly confident. Like when I say that we had already done it, it was just a togetherness thing. Like we'd already completed in our heads. Like this is just talking to ourselves. Like we only put it out like 6 weeks before we did the 24 hours that we were going to do it, but we'd had it planned in our heads for like 3 months before that. But when it just sounds, it's easy to say, "Oh, I knew I was already going to do it," but it was the most sincere way of knowing that we was already going to do it. If that makes sense to everyone, I know it makes sense to you, Greg, but
yeah, it's just having that belief in yourself and knowing what you're capable of. Exactly. It's like this 50K that we're doing. Like I know both of us will finish it. There's no doubt that we'll finish it. Yeah. My method that I want to know that I've given everything to it, and I want to try and enjoy it a little bit, and I've sort of got my eyes on bigger prizes after this one. Yeah. I'm not overlooking this one in the slightest, because it's gonna suck ass. Yeah, but I can't wait. I want it to suck ass.
Yeah, and then I enjoy, like I know you do, and especially I enjoy the struggle with you. Like you're saying, that stoic prick that you were, sorry, that sounds really offensive. That stoic guy you were saying before. Like when you can look back on your life and think, I've pushed my body, like, because you must get so upset as an elder gentleman or an elder female, and knowing that you've just lived a comfortable life and not knowing that your body was capable of so much more.
Yeah, like, and obviously my knees are fucked. I've got screws in one knee and no cartilage in the other. Like they hurt all the time. They especially hurt when I run. They hurt when I do most things. And you get a lot of people go, "Oh, well, you should be looking after him. You should be this," and I do. Like if I go through discomfort, but if I get into pain, I stop.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my attitude is, I would rather have 10 years of beasting them and enjoying them and going out and having these experiences and achievements than mollycoddle them and get another 5 years.
Yeah. And not have anything to show for them.
But then I'm going to look back with regret. Yeah, like, so I don't regret any of the sort of adventures that we've done or the activities that I've done. Like, and I intend on doing more. And there's well more out there that we want to do. And there's some like silly big ones, but we got to wait till kids are a bit older and they're allowed to leave for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
is there? I think we're pretty much done there. Just before we go, is there anything you want to finish it on, mate?
No, like it's just about that positive mental attitude and just like you say, being your own first pick, believing what you bring to the table. I think that's something that I've learned over the years is I know now what I bring to the table, and it's not arrogance. But you've got to have some self-belief and self-confidence. You've got to know that you are a valuable member to any team, and even if that's your own team, like just know that I can do that. And if you don't know you can do it, you don't think you can do it, just fucking try it. I bet most people could drag their ass out their house now and just go and walk/run a half marathon.
Yeah, 100%.
But because I know one of the biggest things for me with running was I'd never ran more than 10 miles in my life. And then one day I went out and I just ran a half marathon, and I just went, fuck. I was like, it was that moment that I was like, these limitations are just in my head.
Yeah.
And the minute I've got rid of them, well, now I'm planning 50-mile runs. Next year, if all goes well, I might even want to attempt a 100-mile run, like over 2 days, like continuous. Like it's fucking 10 times the distance I've ever ran before in my life. So it's just like I say, to end with your phrase, be your own first pick.
I appreciate you using that, mate. I'm trying to make it work, but it doesn't make much more sense than that, really. But mate, brother, thank you so much for being my first guest on my podcast.
An honor and a privilege.
I can only imagine what Roman's going to be thinking. Like, the bitches are doing something without me.
FOMO.
But we will have a trio one in the future, because I definitely want to get you back on, because I know we've covered a lot of bases, but we've not really gone into depth with things, just because I wanted to fit your fucking amazing life into this 1 hour and 40 minutes. So, thank you very much, brother. And
no worries, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for listening, for whoever's listened to the first one. See you next week.